want you to think about if a number, like an amount of money that if you made this much, you wouldn't have to worry about your daily expenses. Like if you were able to get your salary up to this point, or your 401k up to this, and by the way, this is not a share with the person next to you number. If you could like make this much, then life would be good. Like I'd feel comfortable, like I'd feel safe, however you want to describe that. If I made this level of income, I'd be good. You just think about that for a moment. Maybe you've come up with that number before. You're like, man, if I just got this raise, if I just got this position and made this much, man, I'd have some breathing room. I wouldn't have to worry about anything for a while. You think about that number there. Now, I want us to jump in the time machine. I want you to go back in time to right as you were graduating from high school. Now, some of you guys just graduated from high school, so this is not going to be that great of an experiment. Some of you, though, it's been a little while. I think of myself as someone that just graduated from high school 30 years ago. It's been a little while. Think back, 18-year-old Ryan. You know, that range where you're out of high school, you're thinking about the future. Maybe you're joining the military. Maybe you're going into some type of job training or college. You're entering the workforce. I want you to think, what was that number back then? What was that number that you thought when you were 18 years old, if I ever made this much money, man, I would be set. Like I would be so good if I ever got to this level. Can you kind of think about that, what that would have been? I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to guess that's significantly less than your current number, right? It's significantly less, and for a bunch of different reasons. We're not going to talk about economics and inflation and all that stuff, but it's easy to just kind of dismiss it like, I was young then. I didn't understand how finances work. Like, I didn't know how the world worked. I didn't know, what it was going to cost to really have a family. I was idealistic, and certainly a lot of those things apply. I think about 18-year-old Ryan. He didn't have a big idea about how finances worked, how the world worked, like a little idealistic. That was a pretty low number that I had then. And I could dismiss it at that and just say, hey, I've just grown up and understood how the world works. But to be honest, it's also a little bit deeper than that. There's some other things going on in my journey over the course of my life where there is this thing that goes on inside. It's where we set these goals, these financial goals, whether it's an income or a savings, and we approach that, and then we look on the other side and we think, well maybe a little bit more would be helpful. Maybe a little bit more is what I need. There's something else beyond that, and we just keep moving the line throughout our life. What we're talking about here today is, what is that? What's that thing going on inside us? And that's what this story that Jesus tells today it really uncovers. It's found in Luke chapter 12. If you want to open up your Bibles, you can open up to Luke chapter 12. Or if you want to open up the Palm Valley app, which I highly encourage, we update that each week, and put in the notes, put in the Bible passages, and then you can take that with you when you leave. You've got it with you all the time. Luke chapter 12. I'm going to read this story, but Jesus actually sets it up first. He tells us what's the occasion of the story that he's telling. This is what it says. Then someone called from the crowd, "Teacher, please tell my brother to divide our father's estate with me." Jesus replied, "Friend, who made me a judge over you to decide such things as that?" So this is kind of a wild situation. Jesus is teaching to the crowd. There's all these people that Jesus is speaking to, and this guy just kind of like, hey, Jesus, could you help me and my brother? You force him to divide our inheritance the way it's supposed to be? Will you solve this money issue between me and my brother? And Jesus is like, why are you asking me to do this? Like, why are you taking this moment to have this conversation? Now, traditionally in this context, a rabbi, a religious leader, is someone that you might go to if you had a dispute with a family member. If you had something going on with an inheritance, you might go to them and say, hey, can you help us solve this? But it was done in private. It wasn't done like in a crowd. Here's this guy just like literally shouted. It'd be like someone on Sunday morning just like raising, hey, Pastor Ryan, can you help me and my brother solve our inheritance? Like, what? Why now? And even beyond that, think about this. Think about this. How many times have you thought, and maybe you haven't, but I have, like how cool it would have been to like actually be there in person and hear the teachings of Jesus. Like to go to like hear firsthand, to watch the miracles that were taking place. Like all of these amazing things. Like this guy is actually experiencing it. He is with Jesus. He's hearing his teaching. He's watching the miracles. He's seeing demons cast out. He's seeing lame people walk, blind people see. He's seeing all of this stuff. And his primary concern in this moment is, Jesus, can you help me and my brother with this money issue? Of all the things he could have asked for, of all the things that Jesus could have done with him, he brings this kind of petty financial matter to Jesus. And this is Jesus' response. He says this. He says, beware. Guard against every kind of greed. Life is not measured by how much you own. That's a pretty strong response. This guy asks a financial question, and Jesus says, watch out for greed. Life's not measured by how much you own. He points to the thing that's going on underneath this surface. It seems like just a practical question, but Jesus says that there's something going on under here with you, and it's greed. And you need to be aware of it. You need to it's danger. Life is not about what you own. And Jesus could have just left it at that. That was the message. Beware. Like, I'm not going to answer your question, but hey, money seems to have like a weird hold on you. Like, stop it. Go. But Jesus always told stories. And he's illustrated this point with a story. And this is the story that he told. He said, the rich man had a fertile farm that produced fine crops. He said to himself, what should I do? I don't have room for all my crops. Then he said, I know. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. Then I'll have enough room to store all my wheat and other goods. And I'll sit back and say to myself, my friend, you have enough stored away for years to come. Now take it easy. Eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, you fool, you will die this very night. Then who will get everything that you worked for? Yes, a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth, but not have a rich relationship with God. This is a story that starts off kind of vanilla. It starts off just kind of like a regular, hey, this guy, he has a lot of resources, he gets more resources, he starts making decisions, and then it just takes this wild turn. Like, Jesus, the guy dies, and it ends up with Jesus calling him a fool. It's like this slow burn and explosion, and Jesus does that intentionally. He's bringing the hearers and us readers here along, engaging us with this story, this very simple principle, and for a while we're agreeing with what the guy is doing. We're like, yeah, that seems reasonable, that seems reasonable, that seems reasonable, and then boom, blows it up and points it to something even bigger than that. This passage is about greed. It's about our perception of what we have and what we're supposed to do with it. And this theme that Jesus says, beware of all types of greed. And it kind of leaves us in this position like, okay, so what are these types of greed? What are the things that Jesus is warning for? He's letting us know that it can sneak up on you. Because to be honest, I think most of us here would be like, yeah, I don't really struggle with greed. I'm not a greedy person. I don't know if that many people like claim that sin. Like, no, greed's not my thing. I mean, yeah, there was that one time at the buffet where, got away from me for a moment. There was, the time when I was, parents asked my Christmas list and I went overboard. I've had these moments, but I'm not greedy. I have flashes here and there. Like when we think about greedy people, we think of like that movie Wall Street and Gordon Gekko, like greed is good. It's what turns like, we're like, yeah, that guy's greedy. That guy's a bad guy, but I'm not like that. And when Jesus says, beware of all kinds of greed, that there's a way that it can sneak up on you and you don't even notice. So there's a way that it can sneak up on you and you can justify it. You can have reasons for it. And that's why we're drawn into this story, because the first part of the story seems like the guy's making some good decisions. Let's just read it again here. It says, a rich man has a fertile farm that produced fine crops. He said to himself, what should I do? He's being successful. He's a good farmer. He's working the land. He's putting in effort and work. And the result of that work is there is a return for it. He's a successful businessman. And then he says to himself, what should I do? I don't have room for all my crops. And then he said, I know. I'll tear down my barns and I'll build bigger ones. Then I'll have enough room to store all my wheat and other goods. This sounds like a wise thing to do. It sounds like, man, if you got more than you can handle, then you need to find a way to preserve it. Like, you don't want it to waste. You don't want it to rot. Like, the wise thing to do is to build up bigger stores. He says, I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and then I'll have room enough to store all my wheat and other goods. And then I'll sit back and say to myself, my friend, you have enough stored away for years to come. I mean, it kind of sounds like responsibility, right? Like, yeah, I've worked hard. You know, I earned this crop that's come in. I didn't cheat anyone out. I didn't steal it. Like, it's the work of my labor. I have more than I know what to do with. So I'm going to do the wise thing. I'm going to build some bigger barns so that it's not going to get wasted. It's not going to, get, spoiled or anything like that. And I'm going to save it for the future. That sounds like a responsible way to handle this. And even next he says, now take it easy. Eat, drink, and be merry. And I think even then, like, there's a hint of like, no, that doesn't quite feel right, but man, the guy deserves a reward, right? Like, hey, take a little trip. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. There's nothing wrong with that. And to be honest, at one level, there isn't wrong with these things. Being wise, being responsible, saving for the future, not wanting things to waste, having a little enjoyment here or there. There's nothing wrong with these things per se, but Jesus says, but be aware. Beware that greed can sneak up on you. That these good things can become bad things if you're not careful. It's all about how you're viewing these things. And Jesus just brings into stark contrast. He says, he took the guy's life that night. He dies. And everything that he had worked for, everything that he had saved, everything he thought he had was meaningless compared to this. So Jesus wraps it up by saying, a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth but not have a rich relationship with God.